Okay, we will go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our PBC Industry Resources webinar series. I'm here with Nicole Perry, Director of National Sales, CannaFirst Financial. Nicole, thank you so much for being here with us today and talking through, your webinar. Yeah, Andrew, we'll go ahead and get on to the next slide. I'll do just some quick housekeeping here, and then we'll pass it to Nicole to get started. So I'm Josh Radbod. Most of you know me. I'm co-founder and CEO of the PBC Conference. I'll let Nicole do her introduction here in just a second. But few things to know about PBC. Of course, we have our big annual conference, September 8th, 9th, and 10th. We bring together cannabis-friendly banks, credit unions, and the entire cannabis banking ecosystem. Looks like we had a message here from Don saying he's been looking forward to this. Amazing. Thank you, Don. So most of you know about the conference, but some of you may not know about the other things that PBC does. So PBC also creates and launches industry resources where we segment the industry and publish directories that list out all the different types of companies that work in the cannabis banking ecosystem and, of course, work with the cannabis industry. As part of that, this webinar series was created. Last but not least, we have our PBC certification program, where we've created an online training program that helps cannabis bankers and other compliance professionals learn the how to do of cannabis banking. And of course, Nicole Perry is one of our PBC CPs, or certified professionals, which is the highest level of our certification. So Nicole, I'm going to stop talking. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to give the floor to you if you want to do just a quick introduction on yourself, and then we can jump into the webinar.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Josh. Appreciate the introduction and the overview of PBC. Appreciate also the opportunity to be able to present and share my experiences that I've had over the years. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nicole Perry, and I am the Director of National Sales for CannaFirst Financial, which is a division or brand underneath Merchants and Marine Bank. You can see I have a list of credentials underneath my name, and very proud to be part of the PBC CP group. I've been, presenting at PBC for a couple of years now. I think it's been 5 years now. So very honored to be able to do this presentation and share my wisdom for over the years that I've gained. A little bit about me. I'm a lifelong banker. I have been in banking since I was 16 years old. Not afraid to share my age. I am 44 now. So I have a lot of experience, and I've also been in the cannabis banking and compliance sector for about 10 years now. I've had the privilege of working with and assisting 3 financial institutions to help build and grow their cannabis banking programs across the nation. So very, very happy to be a part of that and share, again, my experiences throughout this. Love everything involving the cannabis industry. I also love sports. We go green, Michigan State University. For anybody who is listening here, we do not do the other university. We go green in many ways. So very, very, Dawn, I'm very, very excited to be able to share a little bit more information. A little bit more background. In 2022, CannaFirst Financial became the first bank to offer cannabis banking services in the state of Mississippi. The same year, the state legalized medical marijuana. We entered into a politically conservative, regulation-light environment. We faced the challenge of building a compliant cannabis banking program without legal precedents. And with no state-based business model to follow, we turned to more mature markets for guidance and best practices. So between 2022 and 2025, we grew rapidly, not just in portfolio size, but in strategic partnerships as well. By staying active in the national conversations, aligning with the right vendors, and continuously evaluating our needs, we transformed our program from a state-based pilot into a scalable national offering. You can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So some of the objectives that we looked at whenever we were doing this was scalable cash logistics, risk and value alignment, experience-driven solutions, and operational efficiency. And how we came through that was a challenge that we had kind of been placed with. So launching a cannabis banking program in an emerging market meant vetting vendors who could meet both our immediate needs and long-term vision. We needed true partners, not just providers, who could grow with us, stay ahead of regulation, and align with our risk profile. So we were looking at the big picture, like what can you do now? How can you support us as we grow and into the future? So who do you partner with? How can we help each other? And so when we're looking at that, again, we're looking at scalable cash logistics, which is partners that could support Mississippi initially, then grow nationally, because you have to have a succession plan. Risk and values, which is partners matching our compliance standards and institutional culture. That's incredibly important because you want to make sure who you're aligning with is also going to be aligned with you on, not just your policies and procedures, but how you operate. It makes things a lot easier. Experience-driven solutions, which are vendors offering insight, adaptability, and product evolution. So whenever you're looking at the vendors that you want to be working with, you want to make sure that they also have a succession plan. What are you going to be doing to help us grow? How can we grow together? So asking those questions, kind of like we're asking the licensees that we're talking to when we're bringing on cannabis businesses, is going to be important for looking for the vendors that you're working with, especially because we see a lot of vendors in the industry that are leaving or that are maybe going and merging with other companies as well. So understanding their big picture is important. And then finally, operational efficiency. So you want to avoid duplicating internal work through strategic bundling and smarter tools. So one of the things that you're looking for when you're going to be working with vendors or looking to onboard a vendor is, are you looking at building out something extra? And maybe they're going to be asking you, what is your plan for the future? We have this tool that's going to be helping you. Our compliance partner that we work with is always coming out with emails telling us about nuances that they have in their program so that we will know that we have this to look forward to. And then maybe we can look at utilizing their service instead of something that we're already doing to be more cost effective in the way that we do things. You can go to the next slide. So naturally, after you have the conversations and you're looking at the vendors that you're working with, you want to look at implementation and how you're going to be doing it. So what we did was we conducted an in-depth evaluation of potential partners across compliance, cash logistics, marketing, all of the areas. And each was assessed through demonstrations, peer references, and strategic interviews. So whenever we're looking at onboarding our vendors, and I think everybody else should be doing this, we're interviewing you, but you're also interviewing us. Again, it's a partnership. So making sure that you're asking the right questions to better understand how they're operating. How is this going to work as a partnership? Do they understand what you want to do? Do you understand what they can do? So then you're going to look at how do you adapt to regulatory change? This year in particular is a big year for regulatory change on lots and lots of different venues and areas. So whenever you're looking at talking to your vendor partners, especially let's look at the compliance area. As we look at the change from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3, how is that going to change with your compliance partners? What is that going to look like from a different perspective of how they're going to be onboarding customers? Is that going to change the way that we do things? You could also look at it from the hemp perspective. In November, a big change could happen with hemp. So what is that going to look like with them if they don't already have a program built in with it? How are you going to adapt and change? What is your client support model? I believe that's one of the biggest things, honestly. I know a lot of us pride ourselves on being able to be there for our customers and clients in the industry. And I'm not just talking about the licensees, I'm talking about your internal clients, meaning your colleagues, as well as your vendors. So if you are looking at working with someone and they're unresponsive, or it takes them a really long time to respond to you, that could be a red flag as well, because it could tell you that maybe they don't have time for you, maybe something else is going on, but at the same time, you have to respond back to them. So making sure that their client support model mirrors the way that you want your clients and yourself to be treated. Because if they're maybe ignoring you or not responding back to you, imagine what they could be doing to your clients that you're bringing on board as well. And then finally, how do you proactively improve your services or your product? Again, those vendors, if you're working together, it's a partnership. And so having continuous meetings to understand how we can grow together in the industry is so very important, because it's everybody in this industry knows it changes every hour, it changes every day. There's never a boring day in the cannabis sector. And it's just very important that we're asking these deeper questions to better understand our relationships. You can go to the next one. And then finally, that kind of ties into the annual partnership reviews. So just like we're reviewing our clients at the end of each year, we should also be looking at our vendor partnerships, because throughout the year, throughout the month, throughout weeks, everything changes. As I just mentioned, it feels like it's changing every hour, every day. So that also goes into play with the vendor management and the vendors that we're utilizing. So we want to look at institutionalized annual partnership reviews. So it's focused on usage, cost efficiency, growth alignment, and service quality. Third-party experts are periodically brought in to assess gaps and benchmark our approach against industry standards. So a lot of times what we're seeing whenever we're looking at doing annual partnership reviews is, how has our program changed based on the industry environment? I live in Michigan. If anybody knows anything about the Michigan market, it's wild. So at the beginning of this year, they enforced a 24% sales tax. So in that turn, we have to now look at how much we are charging these customers to be able to have banking and be normalized. If they can't afford to pay their employees or to pay for product, how are they going to pay for banking? So you have to be strategic. And then it becomes a trickle-down effect. So if you have to lower your fees in that way, how can we reach out to our partners in order to figure out, is there something that maybe we can take advantage of? Can we have some sort of cost adjustment that we're working with? Or is it time for us to review and look at another partner that better fits the scope of where we're at now? So these annual reviews all tie in together so that you can make sure that you're doing what's best for your program and what's best for your relationships. So it should be a continuous, intentional evaluation process that ensures that your vendor ecosystem evolves with your program's complexity and growth. And that's pretty standard with how anybody really should be running their business. I just don't know if people always think about that from a vendor perspective, because it's actively changing all of the time, just like our program. You've got new people coming into the market all the time. You've got changes happening. You've got states that are legalizing, states that are trying to get out, unfortunately. So it's always a continuous review. You can go to the next one, please. And then finally, we can look at business outcomes. So what happened for us was we were able to expand our cash logistics capabilities. So we transitioned, or rather added, a partnership from a Mississippi-based only provider to national cash logistics partner, unlocking multi-state services and access to new tools that enhanced our customer offerings. And I'm sharing this from a personal aspect, right? So as I said before, over the years, I worked at 3 different financial institutions, and each of them had a different risk matrix. They had a different plan, and they had different vendors that they worked with, some similar ones. But whenever you're going in, you are looking at what are you doing now and what could you be doing to scale for the future. And so what we looked at was we were only utilizing one transporter who could only operate in one state. The efficiency of doing that as we grew to scale across the nation was impossible. So we then had to search out different vendors, and we had conversations and interviews with them in order to figure out who would be the best fit. And we also had to analyze the different areas and the cost associated with it. We wanted a partner who would be able to charge our customers as opposed to charging us, because it would be less work from us from an overhead perspective, because you're looking at the big picture. And so that's how we were able to expand our cash logistics capabilities, because we looked at what was going to be happening in the future and then who could best support us as we continue to grow. We looked at improving our compliance strategy. So there were underutilized features from our compliance partner that were implemented, streamlining workflows and uncovering redundancy in our tech stack, leading to discussions with bundled providers for cost and process efficiency. When I first came to join our team, I did a deep dive of our compliance provider, and I found out through previous relationships that we were not utilizing everything we could possibly utilize. And to be fair, that's a knock on us, but it's also a knock on our compliance provider as well. Again, it's a two-way relationship with our vendors that we're working with. So we didn't do ourselves we did ourselves a disservice by not looking at everything that we could get from our compliance partner. But then our compliance partner dropped the ball on being able to offer us everything. So we were looking at different partners to utilize for services they could provide. It makes no sense. So making sure that you're doing a deep dive and having those relationships to find out what all you're missing, what am I missing out on? For example, our compliance provider had a whole marketplace that we weren't even listed on. So we weren't getting referrals from that way. I was able to uncover it. We were able to set that up. It really helped with referrals coming in. They also had other services that we were not aware of and using. And so we were using another business to be able to do those things. Think like negative news, visits, everything like that. You shouldn't have to do that if you have a provider that already has those services. So again, looking at it from a compliance strategy and figuring out what am I missing? What am I not aware of? How can I be kept in the loop is very important. Increased lead generation. So after updating our listing in a key industry marketplace, we saw a 60% increase in inquiries about our cannabis banking program. So that ties in with, being on their marketplace. Where is it missing information? PBC too, we were listed on there as only being operational in Mississippi, but we could support the entire nation. So I had a conversation with Josh and his team, simple fix, simple update, but what they don't know, they don't know. So making sure you're updating your vendors as you're changing your program is important. And oftentimes I don't think that we think about those things. We need to figure out how we can leverage the partners that we're working with out in the industry as well. Scalable marketing approach. We evolved from a localized marketing model to a national strategy with new partners, opening new markets and strengthening our brand reach. So if you're only operating in Mississippi, everybody's going to know you in Mississippi. But if you want to grow your program, how are you going to market that way? And it was us looking at using a marketing service to be able to do that. And then in turn, looking at the different marketing that was sent out, how are we going to hit everyone, talking to our partners that are out there, utilizing people like Josh at PBC to be able to get the word out there of what we could do. And it's amazing how you can make, one change in your program and you can scale by 60%. It's the little things, but again, it's talking to your vendors and the people around you to ensure you are working together for the growth. And then finally, payroll partnerships with national reach. We established a relationship with a top national payroll provider that serves both cannabis and traditional industries. And this added a key service line and created co-marketing opportunities, increasing our visibility and relevance in the industry. We've looked at having and sharing booths with them at conferences or being next to each other, more or less, to be able to pass referrals back and forth. You can do that with any vendor. Now, you don't have to necessarily partner with just one, but if you are, make sure that they match your values. You could work with lots of different ones because, as we all know, I'm not going to be the right fit for everybody. I know that some people aren't going to like my services. Some people maybe aren't going to like someone else's services. Having options is important. But having a solution for people is also important because our cannabis customers and licensees are going to be asking us, who else can I reach out to? Who do you know that's going to provide me the best service that I need? And that's part of the responsibility of also working with these vendors. We can outsource to our customers. You can go to the next one. And then finally, just key takeaways. Vendor selection is not a one size fits all. I just talked about that. Not everyone is going to be the right fit for everyone. I think we all know that, and it's okay. It's okay to not be that person for everyone, but being able to have an arsenal that you can offer people is important, and also being able to align with different vendors is incredibly important. I mean, over the past 10 years, I can't tell you the amount of people that I've met in the industry, and I stick with a close few that I bring with me through each financial institution that I go to because I trust them and the work that they do. Partnerships should evolve with your business. If you don't have that relationship where you can call up, text, or email your partner vendors and say, what are you doing? This is what we're doing. How can you help me? Maybe you don't have the right relationship. So maybe reevaluate who you're working with. Are they growing with you? Can they support you moving forward? And then finally, strategic alignment, creating opportunities. So when your vendors understand your mission, they become growth enablers, not just service providers. They become your friends, they become your trusted allies, and you grow together. And I think that's incredibly important because we spend the majority of our time at work. So we might as well working with the people who we trust and who can help us grow our programs and normalize this industry. Next one, I'm all set. I hope you all enjoyed the presentation. Short and sweet, has good information, I think. But being able to share my experiences is important. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've learned that there are lots of people in this industry to trust and lots of people that you can't trust. While it's a big industry, it's really tight-knit, very, very tight-knit in the people that that you trust and that you can work with. So I hope that someone or everyone could at least take something from this presentation to be able to take back to your teams.
Nicole, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. We're getting a bunch of thumbs up and hearts here, so I think I think people definitely enjoyed it. If we're going to open it up to questions, I think someone had their hand raised. If you like, go ahead and type out your question and drop it in the chat, and then we will ask it to Nicole. And Nicole, while people are thinking about that, so this is going to be a PBC plug. So, but a lot of your presentation was about finding the right vendors, selecting the right vendors, adjusting, going back, looking at the services of vendors, updating the vendors. Where is a good place to meet the partners that you're going to work with at your institution and others?
Funny you should ask, Josh. There's actually a really great conference that's coming up. You say it's a plug, but I've been going to PBC for years now, and I believe that it's so influential in the people that are going there. I have met so many of my vendor partners there. Honestly, I have. It's also really nice to be able to listen to the panels that they're on there because they provide insight of who they are. And a lot of their customers who are us, right? Who are us are there. And if you're friends with anybody in the industry, which we all are, you can get really honest feedback from the people that are at these conferences. I've built incredible relationships going to PBC, MJ Unpacked, going to NECAN, Lucky Leaf, just different ones out there where I've been able to gain knowledge on my partners. But attending PBC, to be completely honest, it really gave me really good insight on the people, in the industry. And you guys do a really good job of highlighting those people and offering different perspectives, which I think is incredibly important. It's not just the same people, that are talking. It's Green Check versus Shield versus NCS Analytics versus CRB Monitor, and all different perspectives that are out there. Shout out to the compliance people.
Nicole, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I greatly appreciate it. Let's see here. I think we've got okay, so we've got a question from Paige. Are you starting to add or have already added due diligence questions about AI into your vendor reviews?
We have not started doing it yet, but we've had conversations about that. I was just at the ACP conference last week, and there was a whole panel on AI, right? And AI, it's entering the world regardless if we like it or not. You can incorporate it at, your risk and the way that you want to do it. But as part of our strategic planning moving forward, we'll be looking at AI perspective and how people are utilizing it, how we are going to be utilizing it, how our partners are going to be utilizing it. So that's actually a really great question to ask your vendor partners out there. How are they incorporating AI into their procedures, policies, the way that they're using things, so that you can determine if it's a good fit for you moving forward? So that's a great question, Paige.
Great question and great answer. And we've got another question here. So this is from Don. What was an example of when you knew a relationship was over, and how did you bring that to an end?
That's a great question. So I knew a relationship was over when, I guess I'll use the terms that people use now, they ghosted me. I think a lot of people get ghosted, but if you're working with partners and you're trying to get a hold of someone to be able to find out an answer or to do something whenever you're looking at renewing your contract, hello, you've lost a customer, you've lost a client. So it's an easy one, Don. It was being ghosted by someone. And once you do that, like I had said earlier, If you're treating me that way and I'm paying you money for that service, what are you going to do to your customers and the people that I'm referring to? It's a lot easier for us to talk about the bad, right? They say you talk more about the negative things than the positive things that happen in your life. So when that happened, I definitely shared that with a couple of people because I wouldn't want other people to have that same experience. But I knew it was going wrong when I got ghosted, and I had tried to reach out to them several times without anybody responding back. And they're still operating, which is sad, right? But at the same time, you think back, and not everybody is a good fit for everybody. But ghosting is never okay.
Completely agree. So one question that I had teed up was, what's one piece of, one big takeaway that you would give to maybe some of the freshman cannabis bankers that may be on the call that are just starting a program, and then maybe one key takeaway for someone that's been doing it as long as you have or getting into a more mature program?
Sure, that's a great question. I guess one of the takeaways for the new ones that are getting in is don't go with what everyone has. Make sure that you are looking at every option that's out there because every vendor is different. And if you're looking for people to talk to, there are so many of us in the industry that will help you and answer your questions. Josh's team does a great job of doing that if you need help. When we were looking at different options, I reached out to him and Peter to be able to figure out who we can reach out to. You can also reach out to other bankers. Believe it or not, we are all friends. Everybody thinks we're in competition. We're not. We're all friends out here, and we're all willing to help. But I'm going to use the example from compliance before. Interview Shield, interview Green Check, interview CRB Monitoring, interview MCS Analytics. Interview all of them because they all offer something different. And you need to figure out which is going to work best for your risk matrix and for your plan and for your growth, for the size of your program, everything. There's so many factors that fit in. So don't just pick the first one that you talk to. Interview everyone just like you would for a position at your bank or your credit union or your business that you're working at. And then for the OGs out there, I would say just don't get complacent. Don't get complacent. I know that we all have relationships with the vendors that we work with, but if they're not growing with you and they're not offering you the same service that you had before, it's okay. It's okay to end it. It's okay to talk to them about it and be honest too. I don't think enough people are honest and transparent about the relationships that they have and the conversations regarding the industry because they're so worried about hurting people's feelings. It's a business. We're here to do a job. So you need to have those conversations, and I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you're being complacent in the partners that you're working with and if they're not continuously trying to grow with you.
Thank you very much for that, Nicole. I think we are all out of questions now. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to join us here today. And I know everyone who attended feels the same. How do people get in contact with you, Nicole? You want to just call it out here?
Sure, absolutely. If you'd like to get in contact with me, I have my QR code up right here, along with my email address and my cell phone number. You get my cell phone number. So you're not calling me at my work number. You get my cell number. You can text me, call me, anything. Find me on LinkedIn. All of my information is in my QR code, and I'm at pretty much every conference. I'll be speaking at PBC. I believe that I'm the first panel that'll be at the conference after keynote. So very excited to be a part of that again. So thank you to Josh and the PBC community. I appreciate you guys for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Everyone, if you'd like to meet Nicole in person, if you haven't already, please join us September 8th, 9th, and 10th in Washington, D.C. for the PBC Conference. If you have any questions, please reach out, email, LinkedIn, joshua@pbcconference.com. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.